Hey there, Pisces. Welcome to your reading. This is going to be a Mercury retrograde reading for this retrograde that we're having in Sagittarius. It's going to be from the 9th to the 29th. And in your first row, it's going to represent the past cycle that you are visiting during this Mercury retrograde. You have this energy is gaining momentum and nothing will come of this situation. Yeah, I definitely feel like I'm pretty sure that I said something to you about this earlier this year, or like maybe over the past couple weeks actually, that, I think what Pisces is learning to do is to let go of imperfect situations. That doesn't mean that anything will be perfect in your life, of course, Pisces, but what it does mean is that if there are things that you're just settling for, I feel that you could be learning to let those things go. It's like, it's almost like the trust in the universe is what I want to say here, Pisces. It's like for example, if you're accepting a relationship or a job or something like that isn't right, but you're just accepting it because you haven't had one in a very long time, a job, whatever, a relationship, and you're settling for the situation, then I feel like the universe is like, no, I want you to know that you can create the, close to perfect situation. Again, will anything be perfect? No. But can you get something where you're not making so many sacrifices? Or can you find something where you're not having to settle so much, right? And I feel like that's something that you're going to be, this first row again represents the past cycle that you could be revisiting during this Mercury retrograde. And I kind of feel it's like that's what you're processing at this time. You have the Devil, the World, and the Four of Pentacles in this row. And again, the Devil can represent toxic energy, toxic vibes. I do feel like there's just looking around at everything else here, Pisces, I feel like you're letting go of things that kind of keep you down with this Devil. That Devil can be an energy vampire, but it's like I kind of see it in my head as like leeches that are attached to you, Pisces, little things that are sucking your blood and that are slowing you down in life. And I feel like you are kind of maybe thinking more or not agreeing to give your energy to things too much at this time. It's kind of funny because, I almost feel like this retrograde could signal the end of a very long cycle that you've been going through where you do this, where you allow kind of like, where it's like you carry the weight. It's like, imagine if you were an animal in the jungle and you had a bunch of leeches. It's like they're getting a free ride. It's like they're not only are they sucking your blood, but you are also bringing them somewhere. And the beautiful thing I think for Pisces astrology is that guess what, you can still bring people somewhere, right? But they don't get to suck your blood. That's the difference, right? They don't get to suck off your energy and kind of like steal energy from you. And that's kind of the message I'm getting here is it's like you have a lot of strength, Pisces, and, the astrology is definitely encouraging Pisces to show the world their strength at this time and for years to come. I've been saying to you for years, it's your time to be an inspiration, and that's how you can, guide people through the jungle, but they can't be a leech anymore, and that's, what I get off of this Devil. You have the World. I would be careful of traveling. I literally said it. You can go back to the beginning of the year on Devin Dewar's channel. I said that I'm not getting on an airplane this year. If you've been following me for a while, you know that I travel a lot, many times a year, except for this year, right? I literally said that on her channel. That night we had that first helicopter crash into a plane. It's like I am not traveling this year, period. So, what I would say here is I would be thinking about your travel plans and, just understanding. I think it's freaking crazy that we have this government shutdown, right? And it's affecting travel with a Mercury retrograde in freaking Sagittarius, the planet or the sign that rules like travel and long distance and things like that. Blows my freaking mind. But, again, I would be careful of traveling at this time. For sure. And, obviously if you can't avoid it, then, just take your time and just realize that it might be a little bit of a hassle. Again, we're looking at past cycles, and the World can represent an accomplishment or an achievement. And so I do feel you are, like, literally, this is signaling the end of a cycle. So like I said a minute ago, I feel like this retrograde could be the end of some sort of cycle. You have the Four of Pentacles. Four of Pentacles can be stability, and it can represent holding on too tightly to the past. Again, I think there are things that Pisces has been holding on to or has held on to for a very long time. And it could be anything, beliefs about yourself. Again, the Mercury retrograde in Sagittarius, it's an amazing placement for changing your story. So anything that you don't want to experience anymore, all you have to do is tell yourself a new story, and whatever it is that you're dealing with can change. And so, that's just like part of it. But, that's what I'd say there with the Four of Pentacles, is that it could be a time where if there's anything that you've been, like any cycles that you have been dealing with for a long time, to tell a different story so you can close it. With the Devil, you have the Seven of Wands. Yes, boundaries, right? Pretty simple. Seven of Wands is like drawing a line in the sand, telling people, or, you don't even have to tell people anything with the Seven of Wands. You just have the boundary. It's just that simple. You just don't interact with leeches anymore, Pisces. With the World, you have the Six of Swords. Yeah, moving on to calmer shores, things will get better. Again, once we get past the retrograde, the retrograde ends on the 29th, and then get into the end of the year, get into the beginning next year. It's a much better time for, traveling, doing those things that you want to do. But again, this also tells me that this is an improvement. So, and I think I said this too already this month, that, this retrograde feels like a little bit of an improvement for you, Pisces. Is it going to be perfect? No, but, it seems to me like you could be getting some clarity or seeing things more clearly, and, that is a good thing. You could be understanding your direction more as well. With the Four of Pentacles, you have the Hangman. Yeah, like seeing new perspectives. It's like, I really get this feeling of isolation for you, Pisces, even if you have people around you. Maybe over the past, year or so, maybe you've been feeling a little bit more isolated, or, kind of just like an outsider, or like people don't understand you or something. And, I think that, and the funny thing is as well, is I kind of feel like each one of those things is different. It's like some of you feel like an outsider. Some of you I feel like people don't understand you. It's like they're separated, if that makes sense. But, the Hangman, I feel, is saying, this time has been so that you can gain clarity on, what to work on or how to move forward. So, again, I feel pretty good about that Hangman. Next, we're going to look at what needs closer attention during this Mercury retrograde. You have this: a barrier keeps you from your goal. You have the Sun. It says your perseverance is rewarded. So I think perseverance is going to be important for you. Again, retrogrades are, kind of notorious for, if there is going to be a barrier, it's always going to be something small and simple. It's not like the big things that cause an issue sometimes during Mercury retrograde. It's like where you are reading instructions and you just miss one step that you were supposed to pay attention to. So I would definitely pay attention to any instructions that you're following, because it's very easy to kind of gloss over things during Mercury retrograde. I feel like your perseverance is being rewarded for sure. Your hard work. We see hard work with the Eight of Pentacles in this reading. So I would keep going with this energy. I think the barrier, of course, for Pisces is, in this row for what needs closer attention. You have the Queen of Cups, the Ace of Cups, and the Queen of Pentacles. I feel like your heart needs closer attention. Of course, you have this and the Ace of Cups. Neptune is also retrograde in Pisces, and so you have to follow your heart and your inspirations at this time. It's like, especially for Pisces, if you're not doing things that you really love doing or really enjoy doing, you're going to have a hard time getting motivated. I really feel like your heart is leading you towards success, and your inspirations could be inspiring you towards success, but you really have to listen. And that's what I would do with Ace of Cups, is take some time to figure out what your heart wants right now. And that might mean putting up boundaries, meditating, carving out time during the day to go for a walk, or, whatever it is, so that you can listen to yourself. I feel like it would be time well spent during this Mercury retrograde for sure. You have the Ace of Cups. Again, choosing happiness as well could be a big benefit for you. You have that Sun card, and Sun cards kind of represent happiness, or choosing joy, or choosing to be happy. The Ace of Cups is about doing things that you can do endlessly. That cup can easily reach down into the water below it, and it can fill itself back up. And I feel this is definitely something that needs more attention. I feel like you have to, fill up your fun bucket. I feel like you have to do more things that you love doing, do more things that you enjoy. That's going to help you the most with the Ace of Cups, because again, the more you overflow with the Ace of Cups, the better things get. in your life. Again, these readings aren't really meant to be love readings, but I do feel for those of you that want love, it definitely could need closer attention, right? As in, you have to go do it. You have to put yourself out there. You have to go find something if you are looking for love. The other thing I'm getting here is like gold rush is popping into my head here, Pisces. There's a W. Some people say it's an M, obviously, if you turn it upside down. But, again, it's a W here. And this is popping into my head. I feel like there's some sort of gold rush that is like waiting for you. And I'm not trying to be dramatic or anything. You have the Eight of Pentacles. It's going to require work, whatever this gold rush is for you, Pisces. But it's like you have to go west. You have to, go in step. You have to be a pioneer in something is kind of like what this is saying to me. And like, damn, Pisces, I love that message for you. But again, the retrograde is happening in Sagittarius, which is unknown lands. It is traveling into the unknown. It is, being spontaneous and going places you've never been before. It is long distance locations. It is education for you as well and learning. And, it's funny that this retrograde will go back into Scorpio and, it will go into your 9th house. So, I think it would be an amazing time for you to like, if there's some sort of gold rush that you're seeing, to, go west, to go make moves towards it. You have the Queen of Pentacles. Queen of Pentacles is your resourcefulness. So definitely something that needs attention is being resourceful. It's like, can you do things without money? I'm not even saying that you won't have money, but I feel like this is saying even if you have money, can you do what you're about to do without it? As in you should be being resourceful right now. You should be tapping into the resources that you have. The other thing that I would be paying attention to with this card is multiplication. It's like the Queen of Pentacles has this rabbit right here. The rabbit can represent fears, anxiety, and fertility, but it can also represent multiplication because rabbits multiply very quickly. The other thing about rabbits is they kind of, they stop and then they hop, right? It's like they have a moment where they are pausing and then they take a leap. I feel for you, Pisces, that you're about to take that next leap here with that rabbit on the Queen of Pentacles, which is good. With the Queen of Cups, you have the too many queens in this reading. You have the King of Wands. So you have the King of Wands twice here. The King of Wands, I feel with that Queen of Cups wants you to be innovative. The King of Wands, I think people forget, he has the gift of foresight. He is innovative. He has futuristic ideas for his life, but he has to follow through on those ideas. He has to, make those ideas happen. So, I think it would be a good time for you to like think about what your heart wants and then to innovate on those ideas because that's going to be the thing that makes you very successful. With the Ace of Cups, you have the Nine of Swords. Yeah, changing the story. Like I said, it's, again, with this retrograde happening in your 10th house in Sagittarius, Pisces, it's very obvious to me that you should be telling yourself a better story. So, you're a Pisces, you definitely talk to yourself. I talk to myself all day long, so I know that you probably do too. And so it's time to make sure that those words, the things that you say to yourself are positive. They need to be moving in the direction of the things that you want, not what you don't want. And as long as you do that, things will go very well. So, that's what I would be thinking about. With the Queen of Pentacles, you have the Seven of Pentacles. Yeah, Seven of Pentacles says, is the juice worth the squeeze? Again, I'm telling you, there's like some sort of gold rush here. I'm not trying to be dramatic, but I'm not saying it's going to be amazing amounts of money, like billions, but maybe it could be. But what I am saying is that, I think what you're doing right now is like small. What you could be doing is the next level because we have the Eight of Pentacles right here. And so it's like you're leveling up your finances or you have the opportunity to. And again, that makes sense. Mercury retrograde in your 10th. It's like you have the ability or the opportunity to reinvent your career or to reinvent whatever it is that you do. And, that's what I would be doing with this energy for sure. And I would be weighing your options with the Seven of Pentacles. Seven of Pentacles says, is the juice worth the squeeze? We have to look at what we're working on and we have to say, is it worth it? Is it multiplying or not? That's it. Next, we're going to look at any hidden messages that could be coming from this Mercury retrograde. You have this Beloved card and this Arrival card, this First House card. A lot of first house energy for you, Pisces. Saturn and Neptune still in your sign until, basically your birth time next year. Saturn, Neptune will be January, the end of January. Saturn will be February 26th. it enters back into Aries. So, you until that time, you still have this first house energy. And even at that, even when it leaves, it doesn't matter. You've been learning the lessons of that first house energy. And then even at that, when we get to February, of course, the sun will be in your first house. So, I think there's tons of energy for you to put yourself out there, and you should definitely be doing that. I feel like what the hidden message here is it's saying there's something like hidden inside of you that you love, that you need to express to the world. And, I think that's the thing that will make you more successful. You have the Queen of Swords, the Eight of Pentacles, and the Hermit. Again, you have 3 queens in this reading. 3 queens can definitely represent like jealousy or gossip and things like that. So yeah, I think people are going to be talking about Pisces, and I would just ignore it, number 1. Number 2, again, I think something is becoming clear to you. She only has clouds halfway up her body, and it represents the fact that she is seeing things clearly for the first time. And so I think you could be getting a lot of clarity, based off of what you're working on or what you're creating, and this of course will be a good thing for you. Pisces, make sure to like and comment, really helps me out, by the way. You have the Eight of Pentacles. Eight of Pentacles is straightforward, diligent work. I think you are working behind the scenes this month, maybe even recently. Today is the 7th, and so this will be published on the 8th, the day before the retrograde starts. And I feel a lot of you, it's like you could already be messing around with some ideas. That's what I feel like saying. It's like, it feels to me like if you're messing around with an idea right now, it's kind of just like a little bit of play. But I don't think this is a bad thing at all, Pisces. Like if you're messing around with something or kind of like exploring an idea, I think that's probably the best thing you could do during a retrograde in Sagittarius is like become an explorer, kind of see how your ideas work or see how they can work. And, I would just make it something that you do. The Eight of Pentacles is a single focus. So I think having a single focus would be a very good thing for you right now, Pisces. And I also think that you need to push through maybe a little bit of frustration here. I just feel it a little bit. Like if you're working on something new, it's like whenever we do something we don't know, maybe it is a little frustrating at first, but eventually we figure it out. And, I feel like this is encouraging you to master something at this time. So especially if you're working on a new skill, something that could make you money or whatever, I think it would be a very good time for you to do that with the Eight of Pentacles. You have the Hermit. I feel like you need to come out of hermit mode for sure. Especially, the tricky thing for Pisces right now is South Node Virgo, North Node Pisces. To me, the Hermit is South Node Virgo, North Node Pisces, because the Hermit, he's gone to the top of this mountain. And, having the South Node in Virgo, it's like people who are born with South Node Virgo, North Node Pisces, in their past life, they basically became a hermit. They escaped to a mountain because they were hurt by the world. So people who are born with that placement, it's like they have to learn how to not punish the world. Usually people who are born with that placement, they kind of isolate themselves because in a past life, again, they were hurt, and so they don't want to get hurt again. And they have to learn to like share their gifts. And I feel like that's the hidden thing that is coming out of you is that there's some sort of gift you have to share. And that's what I would do. It's almost like an ego death here, Pisces, kind of is how I feel about it. It's like if you're trying to protect yourself, it's like you're afraid of criticism. I'm not saying this is true. I'm just painting a picture for you here, and it's like almost the energy I'm getting there. With the Queen of Swords, you have the Knight of Pentacles. Knight of Pentacles is progress. I do think you can make progress during this retrograde. It's not necessarily one of those retrogrades that's going to slow you down. So I think there is a lot of progress to be made. With the Eight of Pentacles, you have the High Priestess. Definitely a good time to work on yourself, for sure, and to work on any mysteries, anything that is hidden, right? The funny thing is that she has this tapestry behind her. It's like there is a mystery going on. There is something that she needs to peek behind the curtain. She needs to embrace a mystery. So it might be a good time for you to work on something that is a mystery, like something you don't know. It is an excellent time for you to learn a new skill, especially with Mercury and Sag, right? And then it's going to go direct at the end of the month, and it's going to go back through Sagittarius through December. And it doesn't really. I don't know off the top of my head, so don't quote me on this. But I'm pretty sure that Mercury doesn't clear where it went retrograde until like the middle of December. Then it's gonna, it has to continue through Sagittarius. So again, I think for a lot of you, it's a great time to learn something like a skill that will lead to an improvement. With the Hermit, you have the Two of Swords. She's trying to protect her heart, and the whole second row is talking about your heart. She has the swords crossed over her chest, but she's not seeing how things are actually going to go if she opens her heart over here, on this island behind her. So I do feel like that's something you could work on, is like, opening your heart more and being vulnerable, taking the risk of being vulnerable as well. Next, we're going to look at how to move forward during this retrograde. You have this good news card. It says all forms of communication, text, email, documents, phone calls, letters, notes, voice messages, so good news. You have this caregiver. It says support, seek advice, getting help, physical, emotional healing, healer, self-care, recovering, and service. So you could be getting help from other people, which also would be very good with this energy for sure. You have the King of Wands, the Seven of Cups, and the Temperance card. King of Wands about being bold, being assertive, really going for what you want. I think embracing that great white fiery side of you, Pisces, would be a good thing to do at this time, even though it's Mercury retrograde. Like, move forward, being bold, assertive, confident, making things happen. Take risks. He has these salamanders on his cloak, and the salamanders in the tarot represent protection from fire. So he is kind of like protected from risk. And so even though it's a retrograde, it still might be a good time to put yourself out there. I look at retrogrades as collecting data. It's like, I think people should make mistakes during retrogrades and all that other stuff because you're collecting information. And it's an amazing time for you to collect information. You have the Seven of Cups. Yep, bringing a dream down to earth is how you're going to move forward. He's dreaming of something. I always say with the Seven of Cups, don't cheat yourself out of something that could be good for you. He's dreaming of something. He's dreaming. There are good things and bad things in those cups. But the problem with the Seven of Cups is that sometimes we don't do something because we think, we just say, like, yeah, it could have been good, but all these bad things could have happened. So we just don't do it. But it's like, no, that's not an answer. You're cheating yourself out of something because you don't actually know what the outcome of anything is going to be unless you do it. And so the Seven of Cups, I feel, is saying, like, don't cheat yourself out of something that could be good for you. You have the Temperance card, which is Sagittarius. So there you go. I feel like you have been very patient. Retrogrades are amazing for transforming something. And, again, I think a lot of you could be literally working on transformation, like transforming work or business. Even if you're retired, like, again, whatever you work on, it could be a personal project. It could be working on yourself or whatever, but, you could be transforming it. I always say that he's like waiting for things to be perfect, but he could just get off on this path and go claim this crown. So I feel this is saying, like, there's nothing to wait for, especially if you're transforming something, you might as well just do it right now. With the King of Wands, you have the Seven of Swords. Seven of Swords is about doing things in a different way. He is stealing the swords from this army in the background, and he's doing that so that he can avoid war. So anything that you're working on, if you can do it in a different way, it might make you very successful, Pisces. So, that's what I would do here. With the Seven of Cups, you have the Knight of Swords. Knight of Swords, yeah, don't run away from something, is what this is saying. I feel, part of me feels like this reading is saying, like, yeah, you're going out to California to find the gold, in the gold rush. And it's like there's this crazy journey ahead of you. There's a lot of unknown, but it's like when you get there, I think it'll be worth it, Pisces. The Knight of Swords, I always say he's getting to a point in the reading that he's running back to the past. He needs to follow through. He needs to complete the vision here so that he can be successful. With the Temperance card, you have the Ace of Cups. Yes, let your heart guide you, plain and simple. The Ace of Cups says as long as you're following your heart, things will be fine. As long as you're following your heart, then there will be like an overflow in your life. So that's what I'd pay attention to. You have this Teardrops card. It says great personal sorrow. I think you're letting go of something from the past that brought you sadness or, made you sad with this first row here. So I feel like this is kind of like the end of that situation. You have this Wind Chimes card. It says peace and harmony. This is probably what you should be focusing on, is peace, harmony, things that make you feel that way. With the Ace of Cups. Again, I think the more you can do for yourself this month, the better. It is a little bit, like, there are people in this reading, but, these readings aren't meant to be love readings or anything like that. There are people here, but I do feel it's you. I think this reading is talking about you mostly. You have this bullet that says, do not back down from opposition, show strength and fortitude. Yes, Knight of Swords, charge through something, right? And we have Uranus retrograding into Taurus this month. So, I think kind of charging forward through the obstacles, or I don't even think they're obstacles. I think it's just questions you don't know the answer to is what you're charging through, especially if you're working on something like a new project or an idea. It's like, yeah, you don't have all the answers, but you can Google it, right? So there you go. You have this bird perch that says, waiting for news, package, or letter. We had that good news card, so if you're waiting for any communication, definitely could be getting communication. You have this dagger that says, fears, worries, tense situation. Yes, I think Pisces, the paranoid energy is a little bit more right now. So I think you should, number one, take care of yourself. Number two, don't feed the paranoia. You have to tell yourself a better story, because I don't think that this exists, basically. So pretty good, Pisces. I like this. Thank you for being here. Make sure to leave a comment, and definitely enjoy your retrograde.